Good morning, folks. Running a minute behind. I'm sorry about that. I was reading an article and it just had an issue with time management. I apologize, but let's get started. Grab your coffee. We've got several videos from Trump's rally the other day. It's really good to see him remind us exactly who he is. So grab your coffee, grab your pen and paper. We're going to do this. Let's get started. Good morning, folks. Trump just held a rally in Cedar Rapids, and man, he is saying it all out loud. He is letting us know exactly what he's going to do, who he's going to be, who he still is. And let's just dig right into it. The first thing, the big one that just disgusting. It's just disgusting. He has doubled down on the whole Muslim ban. They call it the travel ban, but it's a Muslim ban. And he's promised his followers that he's going to absolutely do that. And, you know, folks, when people say something, believe them. When they say something, believe them.
A vote for President Trump is a vote to secure the border, and it's a vote to keep radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of our country. On day one, I will immediately restore and expand the Trump travel ban. Remember when they said, oh, that's so vicious, but it kept us safe. A vote for President Trump is
secure the border. I don't know. I don't know another New Yorker that talks like that. I don't. I don't know. Does anybody know what that accent is? Secure the border. And he says Vits, V-U-T-S, Vits. Doesn't say votes like everyone else. I mean, hell, I'm a Southerner. I've got a Southern accent. And I can make fun of this guy. Who the hell says Vits? Vits. And he always sneers when he says it. Vits. What the hell, man? And he's telling you straight from his mouth, we are going to ban Muslims again. That's what we're going to do. I mean, when like our national treasure, Maya Angelou, told you, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Believe them. This is not my interpretation. This is not any spin. This isn't my, you know, I'll tell you, I'm biased as hell. I am a Democrat. I believe Democrats are better people. I believe that Republicans are trash. I believe that they're sorry human beings. I don't believe it's just a political difference. I mean, I will tell you out and out, I am biased as hell, but those aren't my words. Those are his words out of his mouth. Believe him. Believe him. And it didn't stop there, folks. We're going to have, you have to forgive me. I know just running clip after clip after clip is lazy commentary, but I think it's important that you hear these things from his mouth, not, well, you hear them from mine too, from his mouth. This one came out from the Biden-Harris link. If you're not following them, they're on both XChan and Threads now.
of opponents, but we've been waging an all-out war in American democracy. You learn our opponents, and we have a lot of opponents, but we've been waging an all-out war in American democracy. You learn our opponents, and we have a lot of opponents.
Yeah, we noticed. We noticed. The other thing I want you to notice here is they're peddling gold. And I don't know if you know that. I just wanted to do, when I saw this, I want to do a PSA for you folks. Okay. Don't just buy gold willy nilly. Just because somebody is selling a gold coin, don't just go out and buy it. You're not legitimately like buying certified gold ingots. You're not. A lot of times these coins are there'll be 10 karat gold in the middle and 24 karat gold plated on the outside, or sometimes they won't even be gold in the middle. I mean, they're just, you really have to, you know, don't trust just your, do your vetting, okay? Before you invest in buying something like a gold coin from somebody, or somebody that's advertising at a Trump rally, okay? These people are, yes, Microbyte and several of you have said this, many of them are gold plated. They're not actual solid gold all the way through, especially if it's a big old coin, big old honking coin like this big. I mean, don't trust it. But yeah, out of his own mouth, they edited it down so that, because he said a lot of things that were untrue there in that statement before talking about attacking democracy. But yeah, he did. We have noticed you are attacking democracy, and he's stirring his people up to do the crap again. The stuff where they sit outside polling places with guns, uh, voter intimidation, all of it. I mean, he's hitting all the golden oldies, man. He is telling us exactly who he is and who he's going to be if he is ever president.
Evidence we have, so, and everybody knows it, and they know it. The one thing they don't want to talk about is the election. They don't want to, because they're guilty as hell. They cheated like hell. They know it, and you'll never find out all the ways. But we don't need all the ways, because it was, I think, 22,000 votes separated it, and we have millions and millions of votes. It's a very sad thing. So the most important part of what's coming up is to guard the vote. And you should go into Detroit, and you should go into Philadelphia, and you should go into some of these places, Atlanta, and you should go into some of these places, and we got to watch those votes when they come in, when they're being,
Okay, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Atlanta. What do those cities have in common? They tend to vote Democrat. But what else? Oh yeah, there's a lot of African Americans that live in those. A lot of black people live in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. Yeah, I wonder if that's a little dog whistle to us people. Anyways, let's finish this up.
Shoved around in wheelbarrows and dumped on the floor, and everyone's saying, what's going on? We're like a third world nation, and we can't let it happen. So,
okay, we aren't a third world nation when it comes to our elections. We spent a fortune on the 2020 election. When the experts come out and tell you it was the most secure election we have ever had, it was the most secure election we ever had. It really was, folks. And I'll get a little bit more into that in the future. But the things that he's saying, don't trust the election. You have to get out there and you have to watch these people. You have to guard against it. They're going to try to steal your vote again. And then what does he do for all the Midwestern uptighty whiteys? Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, places that they've never been, cities they know nothing about, but they know there's a lot of black folks that live there. Dog whistling to the racist again. And that's all this man is. And he doesn't stop there.
only got indicted once. He got indicted. I got indicted. He only got indicted once. He got indicted. I got indicted 4 times because I'm questioning a crooked election.
More
But
gold.
we're not questioning it. We know the results. We know it. And when we go through courts, if we ever even have to do it, because you have presidential privilege, and also if we ever, we should never have to.
I can't get over this gold thing. I just can't. Newsmax is just pumping this stuff out. This is another company. This isn't the first company. This is another company that they're peddling gold. It is a grift, folks. And it makes perfect sense that it is going along with the Republican grift, that it is going along with the grifter in chief, Donald Trump. It just makes perfect sense that those are together.
To do that. But if we do, we want to redo the election only from the standpoint we want that election. We want to look at it very carefully. We have so much information. There was so much corruption in that election. You take a look. It's incredible. Just the other.
Except for the fact that there wasn't. There wasn't. I mean, if he had had any actual valid claim of any election fraud, he could have brought it to a court. He could have had his day in court. None of it existed. They've brought none of it. And we've seen it come out in the trials. Even Sidney Powell. Rudy Giuliani's still on the grift. He's still selling that every day. He is talking to someone every day and picking up his little $5 bills. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was stolen. You're not a loser. You're not a loser. It was stolen from you. Every day they're out there grifting this stuff. And we see it in the trials. We see the testimony come out in the trial. The attorneys walk up and say, "Sir, you didn't lose the election. You didn't lose the election." Mike Pence's testimony, "Sir, you didn't lose the election. You told me to go look for fraud. I asked everybody in Congress that was saying, 'Hey, we found fraud. Bring me the evidence, and we'll do this in Congress.' And nobody brought any evidence." And exactly, because you can't say this in court. You can't. Philip Collier, great comment, but you cannot lie in court. That's right. I mean, bottom line, you can stand up in front of idiots and you can say things all day long. You can lie at your own rally all day long. But the fact that it was never challenged anywhere, any evidence brought of any fraud, just says it all. Let's finish this up.
In Georgia, 3,600 votes that were duplicated so that you had double votes. Almost all of them were for Sleepy Joe Biden.
No, no. What he is talking about was 3,600 votes that they ran through twice. And the reason he knows about that is they caught them. They said, "Oh, that ran the wrong basket through. The numbers didn't line up. The system flagged them out and said, 'Hey, these are duplicates. These don't go in the vote totals.'" The system that's designed to guard against that. That's why he knows about those 3,600 votes. They didn't make it into the vote totals. They didn't make it into the vote totals at all.
Biden, right? Every single vote. You take a look what they do and what they play and what the Democrats have done for a long time, but it's a disaster. And we have to get in and we have to clean it up. And we want to go paper ballots. We want to go voter ID, same day election.
Same day election. Same day election. And that's of course with the mail-in ballot. And then we'll have mail-in ballot there. That's all I'm telling you, folks, is everywhere he lost, he and the Republicans are going to go in and make it illegal to vote anywhere he lost.
No more mail-in ballots. We don't want mail-in ballots.
Unless he won the district that sent in with mail-in ballots. They're telling you out loud. He's telling you out loud. There's no wishy-washiness about this. He's telling you out loud. And an election is coming, folks. I've told you about this before. I've told you. Every election cycle, a member of the Billionaire Frat Boys Club will pay to have a caravan. They will. Gas prices will go up. They will. It's just predestined to happen. Energy traders will drive up the cost of gasoline right before the election. They will. And a caravan will show up. Paid for by a billionaire member of the Billionaire Frat Boy Club.
We're going to get those bad ones out. We're
Hold
going
on.
to do a big deportation. We're going to get those bad ones out. Remember, mental institutions, prisons, and terrorists are pouring into our country.
Okay, folks. They have told you. He has told you before. He has told you out of his own mouth. He wants to have detention camps. He does. Not just for immigrants. Not just for immigrants. That's the way it starts in every fascist country. They say, we're going to have camps for those people that are dangerous. I'm going to protect you. Then they build the camps, and then they put me in it. They put me in it because I don't agree with him. Because I'm dangerous. Thank you, Trina Longa. Do you think Biden needs the National Guard to protect voters in 2024? No, I don't. I don't think we've reached that point yet. If you've got a jackass sitting out your polling place, outside your polling place holding an AR-15, walk by and tell them to get the fuck out of your way. Just tell him to get the fuck out of your way. If he tries to take your picture, take his back. You know, they're loud mouths. They're not dangerous. Just vote. Just vote.
We're right now the largest caravan. That was my term. I think I have a lot of terms, a lot of good terms. But caravan was my term. The largest caravan anyone's ever seen is right now coming up through Mexico. Thousands and thousands of people going to pour right into a country. We have no idea who they are. Bad things are going to happen, very bad. We're going to do a big deportation.
Told you. I told you. I told you. First of all, he says he invented the word caravan. Like it hasn't been around, you know, since before Christ was born. But okay. Yeah, he invented the word caravan, and like I told you, I mean, did I not tell you that a year ago? Did I not tell you that a year ago? Every election cycle, there will be a caravan. They don't, you know, they don't know because nobody's doing investigations in the countries they're coming from. But you know, it's one of those things. I don't know, but I know. They're being funded here. They're being funded by these right-wing extremists. And they show up every election. And Fox News happens to know exactly where they're going to show up. Every time. Every time. But yeah, it didn't stop there, folks. It didn't stop there. I mean, just the craziness. Just the craziness of what he says. This is one that's just freaking hilarious. It goes to testify how stupid his supporters are. And I love Aaron Rupar. A lot of these come from Aaron Rupar, Acine, and the Biden headquarters. 3 great follows for you. They're all on Threads. They're all on XChan. If you still use XChan, I still use XChan because I like to bring you these clips. And Threads will not make a functioning viewer. They just won't. I can't pause it. I can't talk to you. I can't, you know, it's just the way it is. I hate it.
You see, they just found him. $5 billion went to him. Remember during the debate, I said to Joe Biden, I said, how come the mayor of, you see, they just found him. $5 billion went to him. Remember during the debate, I said to Joe Biden, I said, how come the mayor of...
What he said right there is that $5 billion went to Joe Biden in the last election. Oh boy, we have math. We have math. No, no. $5 billion did not go to Joe Biden. Both campaigns combined took in $4.1 billion. That's a lot of money, man. That is a lot of freaking money. Both campaigns combined did not take in $5 billion. Let's look into that a little bit deeper, too. I mean, I love math. Math doesn't lie. $2020 election, $6.6 billion went into the presidential election. There was over $14 billion spent total on everything, for everything, every poll, every bit of security that what the states spent, what the private individuals spent, what everybody, the whole shooting match shebang was $14 billion. 6.6 billion of it was for the presidential election. And no, Joe Biden didn't get 5 billion of that. Congressional spending was more. It was $7.2 billion of that $14 billion. So yeah, even if you gave the most generous assumption of what he was trying to say, no, the math doesn't math at all. None of it. But he tells his people this. He says, foreigners, they gave Joe Biden $5 billion. And they, oh, yeah, they did. So he could steal the election. Yeah, they did. I mean, they're the dumbest, most moronic, slow, drooling morons on the face of the planet. This stuff took me under 20 seconds to find, folks. I would like to tell you that I worked really hard on that particular video. I did not. I did not. Literally took under 20 seconds to pull that graph up. Oh, but wait, there's more. I miss Billy Mays. Oh my God, those were the best infomercials, weren't they? But wait, there's more. Here's Trump trying to claim that the reason the Biden administration is posting such good numbers is because of him. That's right. He's saying it's because of him. First of all, he says they aren't posting good numbers. They're terrible. It's terrible. It's awful. But they're coasting on my fumes. I did it. Anyways, let's get to it.
But the Biden administration is running on our fumes. That's all they're running on. They don't have anything. They're doing everything wrong. They're running on our fumes. But the Biden administration is running on our fumes. That's all they're running on. They don't have anything. They're doing everything wrong. They're running on our fumes.
Okay. What are you referring to there in that point? Are you talking about the over 5% GDP that you said would be a wet dream if you ever got to 3% GDP? Are you talking about the full employment? Are you talking about the booming stock market? Are you talking about what exactly are you saying is running on your fumes 3 years into the presidency? Over 3 years into the presidency. It's insanity. It is insanity. They will tell you on one hand, everything's a hellscape. And then on the other hand, it's all good because of us. It's stupidity to the extreme. It's stupidity to the extreme. But yeah, folks, that's Trump in a nutshell. And go to A-Scene on Twitter. Go to Aaron Rupar. There are literally a dozen more of the clips. And I want to say thank you to those guys. I really do want to say thank you to those guys, because you and I don't have to watch that crap. Those guys sit there. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Let's Not Panic says, A-Scene is awesome. He is freaking awesome. Let me tell you what that guy does for us, for you and me. He watches this stuff. Could you imagine sitting through the whole damn rally? Oh, just the thought of it. And he does. And Aaron Rupar does also. These guys are amazing. Every time there is a hearing, every time there is a rally, every time, they will sit through it all and give you the highlights. MJWA says, no, Barfo. Yeah, I agree. 100%. I agree. Barfo. Great term. And I just, to you guys, really. That's doing the work to save democracy. We should build statues to those freaking guys. We really should. But that's all I have on Trump for you this morning. I don't want to sit there and play video after video after video after video of Trump. But we do have other things in the news. Some of it didn't make the national news, which just really surprised the hell out of me. I don't know. Speaking of great follows, I don't know if you follow Liam Neeson on XChan. If you need a laugh, Liam Neeson is great. He's a parody account of Liam Neeson, but he is great. He's funny. We just talked last Friday. We talked about Planned Parenthood, and he's coined a new phrase for them. The Moms for Liberty. He calls them the menage a trois. I'm sorry. I know that's childish, but it is great. It is great. And this is not going away, folks, man. Everybody is just on this because they're so hypocritical. They're so hypocritical. This is not going away. This was one of my favorites. Church is over. Let's go have a threesome. Oh my God. This guy nails it. He just freaking nails it. Oh man. That is hilarious. That is freaking hilarious. Church is over. Let's go have a threesome. Because that's exactly what they were doing, man. That's exactly what they were doing. And if you didn't catch Friday's show and aren't aware of what's going on, one of the founders of Moms for Liberty, I call them Planned Parenthood, Liam Neeson calls them the menage a trois, because the head of the Florida GOP, her husband, and the co-founder of the hypocritical, we're going to go to all the school boards and we're going to protect the children, and we know what decency is, and you can't read the Diary of Anne Frank because it's just terrible. It's pornography. Was having a long time three-way relationship, and her husband raped the woman, has been accused of raping the woman that they were in a relationship with and recording her without her consent. And there appears to be more coming out of it. Watch this space. There appears to be more and more coming out of that as time goes by. All of these people, without fail, when they show up and they tell you, I am the moral righteousness, I will protect you, I will lead you to moral righteousness, they are dangerous. They are always dangerous. They are always deeply morally flawed people. Always. Look at Joel Osteen, man. I mean, Mr. I'm preaching Christianity and humility and humility, and the way he talks, that soft voice that he always had. Because Jesus loves you. And he loves you even more if you'll buy me another Ferrari. Deeply flawed individuals, all of them. Well, we had moving on. We had a serial killer on the loose. It didn't even really make national news. I mean, there were one or two articles here and there. People are starting to come to it. ABC's done a bit on this guy. But yeah, we've had a serial killer in our midst in LA going on a rampage. They found 4 victims so far. 3 of the victims they found so far were homeless. The 4th victim was a software developer for LA County. They don't think his job had anything to do with his murder. But they were able to piece the 3 together. This all happened last week, folks. Just last week. Let me pull this up for you. I can tell you exactly where. This is Jared Joseph Powell. This is our serial killer. And the police are afraid at this point that there may be more victims out there. Jared Joseph Powell, and that is a unicorn, folks, right there. That is a unicorn, folks. Serial killers are almost universally white men. Not always. I mean, it's not 100%, but whenever you hear of a serial killer, you can just about bet with almost certainty that it is a white middle-aged guy. This is a unicorn. This is going to be, for the lack of a better way to put it, an interesting one to study, to find out what was going on, because he was a serial killer. Let me show you. His victims were, 3 of them were homeless people, and a lot of people in the audience pointed out when I brought it up Friday. I wanted to do a follow-up on it because we've got more information now. Brought it up that a lot of these serial killers will start with homeless people, and then they will move to prostitutes, and they always go after the most vulnerable in our society. The police are very afraid because the victim that they were able to tie him to the other murders from via ballistics was not a vulnerable person. He was not your easy target. The first victim was a homeless person in South Los Angeles. Let's go to the map. A lot of people aren't really familiar with Los Angeles. This is the 110 running straight up the middle of the screen, and the 105. I'll zoom in on it. The first victim was right here in this area, just blocks from 110 and the 105. Pardon me, I said 110, the 710 and the 105. It's just right here. It was at 110th Street and Vermont. Vermont runs parallel to the 710. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm giving you bad information. Here's the 110. I knew it was the 110. Shouldn't have questioned myself. Here it is. You've got the 110 that runs north and south in LA, and the 105. Vermont Street runs parallel. It was just a few blocks away, right in this area right here was the first victim. The second victim was up here, and I'll zoom in so you can see it. You see Skid Row right here. It was right on the edge of Skid Row. It was his second victim, his second homeless victim. Right here around this intersection. He was asleep on the sidewalk and walked up and shot her. The third victim was up here in Lincoln. See Lincoln Heights here? Just outside the park here in the Lincoln Heights neighborhood was the third victim. What has the police very afraid? See Lincoln Heights here. And let's just give you a general idea. He was not operating in one place. He was moving north all through LA. The victim that was the nexus victim that they were able to tie it all together was at a charging station here to the east. You know, every major city has cities around it that are satellite cities. You know, you've got Pasadena, Glendale, you've got San Dimas, made popular from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Burbank, all of these cities. You have all these satellite cities every time you have a major metropolitan area that are part of the greater LA metropolitan area. Well, Covina is most people probably haven't heard of Covina. It's a suburb. It's a nice neighborhood. It's a nice area. If you look in, it's upper middle class, and San Dimas is as well. It's just generally a nice area of LA, which is what has the police worried, because typically serial killers will stick to the most vulnerable for a long time. This guy went boom, 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 Sunday through Wednesday, 3 homeless men, ages 37, 62, and 52, that were asleep on the sidewalk when he killed them, to actively hunting a non-vulnerable target. Nicholas Cimbalone was, like I said, he was 42 years old. He was in the prime of his life. He was a software developer. He had been at a charging station here in Covina, drove to his home in San Dimas, and Jared Joseph Powell followed him to his home. And I want you to imagine, I mean, what would you do? You know, you get home, you're walking up your driveway into your garage door's open, you're walking into your garage, somebody pulls up in your driveway and starts walking up your driveway. You say, what would you do? Howdy, can I help you? That would be about it. And that's what I want to talk about in reference to this. These are those sad tragedies that you cannot guard against in life. You just can't. Could you imagine the way you would have to live your life to have not been that victim? I mean, you can't. You just can't. There's no way to live your life where you are so on guard. You would literally have to be surrounded by security. You would have to question every human being, every interaction all the time. This guy literally pulled up to his driveway, got out of his car, walked up his driveway into his garage, and shot him. And it was another serial killing. He took a few minor pieces of property. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't. The press is calling him a follow home robber. That's not what this was about. He took almost nothing from the guy. And he didn't go into the house where the guy's wife was. He got his kill and he left. This was a serial killer hunting. So my point is, I want to talk about guns for a second. Because, you know, the narrative is, you know, well, if them homeless people had had a gun, they'd be dead because they were asleep. If someone breaks into your home at night, you know, a lot of us keep guns available to us, but they do you no good if you're asleep. And they do you no good if you're just waking up. Old Silver, great point. Yeah, he was taking trophies is what he was doing. He was taking something. That's what serial killers do. They take something from the victim to remind them of that feeling so that they can take it out of a drawer and hold it and look at it and remember. And that's what he did. This wasn't a robbery. He didn't, you know, he didn't take anything of real value from the guy. But yeah, I just want to talk to you about the whole narrative of guns for safety. I don't care if the victim had had an AR-15 on him. I don't care if he'd had an AK-47 on him. Unless he had had that weapon trained on the guy walking up his driveway, he would have died anyways. That whole narrative of guns for safety is a myth. Statistics show, they're clear. Bring a gun into your home, it will be used on someone in your home. That is the overwhelming data that we have. And the flip side of that is the right wingers would say, well, how would gun control help this situation? Gun control wouldn't have helped anything because he would have got that gun anyway. They completely discount society and the value of narratives in a society. They do. The Japanese can be exceedingly violent people. They can. Some of the atrocities they committed in China during World War II were as bad as it gets. The way they treated prisoners in World War II were incredibly harsh. But they are a peaceful society. They are. I mean, they're capable of horrific things. But as a society, they are not. As a society, they are very peaceful. They have no gun deaths. None. It is virtually unheard of for someone to die from a gunshot wound in Japan. In a society that is obviously capable of great violence. And the violence isn't there. Why? The narrative's different. They don't talk about each other the way we talk about each other here. They don't talk about each other the way the gun culture in this country talks about fellow Americans. They talk about themselves like they're living in the middle of Beirut in the 1980s. You heard Trump's words. There's another clip I didn't play where he talks about Washington, D.C. And if you listen to him, you would think it was some horrific place. It is not. It is not. Washington, D.C. is a beautiful city. It is. It is a beautiful city. So yeah, I mean, narratives matter. The way we look at things matter. If we quit talking about firearms, and that's what I'm telling you, that's where I'm at with gun control. I'm like, that's a gun case behind me. I have guns. I love guns. I do. I love shooting, but I will gladly get another hobby. And that's what it is. Your guns are your hobby. They are your hobby. Statistics show they're not your protection. They're definitely not your problem solver. And that is where I'm getting to. The crux of the matter is the gun folks in this country talk about guns like they're problem solvers. They are not. I'm out of coffee too, RV Davey. I am too. Pissed off my wife today. Don't ask me why. Stupid argument. She snapped at me, I snapped at her, and next thing you know, we're not going to talk to each other for 2 days. That's marriage, folks. Means an empty coffee cup. Y'all, I'll shout out to Mrs. Texas Paul. She is the love of my life, even though I got mad and said stupid things. Yes, again, Paula. Yes, again. It's what we do. So anyways, I just want to leave you with that on guns, folks. I just want to leave you with guns on that. The narratives that they push forward have to stop. They do. They talk about guns like they're problem solvers. They are not. They are not. Statistics show they're not. They damn sure don't help with the election. You know, they showed up with the AR-15s at polling places. We beat their ass. We beat that. They showed up with AR-15s at polling places in Arizona, and we beat their ass in Arizona. They don't even solve problems for that. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's ban guns. Let's do it. Let's ban guns until you change your narrative. You know, if you're talking about just having fun, if you're talking about what I talk about, it is fun to go out to the cussing pond. I set up a table back there. I do some target shooting. That's what my guns are for. I haven't been hunting in forever. I haven't been hunting forever. I used to love to go hunting. It was nice. It was nice, but I haven't in a really, 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 really long time. So yeah, I just it's time. Let's ban guns until they agree to change the narrative. And then I don't give a damn if you've got an Abrams tank, as long as you're not talking about that tank being used on another American, as long as you're not threatening another American with it, as long as you're not taking your tank to the damn polls. I don't give a damn if you have a frickin' Abrams tank. If you've got the land for it, you can safely set up the backstop so that people aren't hurt from your hobby. Great. But not right now. Not right now, because we need to change the culture in our country when it comes to guns. And we do that by making you get another hobby and realizing that your hobby isn't worth one child. It isn't. It isn't worth one child. Change the way things go, and you'll change my attitude. Oh, yeah, we'll get over it. We will. We'll get over it. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I want to talk to you about NGOs for a minute. No, I'm not going to get into the Israel-Palestine war. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to cover that. I'm not. But I want to talk to you about the UNRWA to begin with. One second. All right. It's kind of mislabeled. The UNRWA is the United Nations Relief Workers Association. Pardon me, agency. I said association, agency. I would really like you to take a look at this. They're having a bit of a problem. And I think it's time we actually start asking the question, what culpability did NGOs, groups, the UNRWA have in this war? What is their culpability? The UNRWA runs the schools in Gaza, and they're very upset because people are starting to ask questions about their culpability in this situation, because we found weapons in schools, and they're, you know, hit dog yelps the loudest. So they put this statement out saying, how dare you question us? How dare you question what we've done? And a lot of good folks put comments on it. There's one good thing I can say about XChan. These comments are, they are. One of them put a comment, you know, it says, first of all, they said claims against the UNRWA have been documented for a long time. They have. There are problems with the UNRWA. The schools teach, they're filled with Hamas teachers. They're filled, you know, they found arms in these schools. They found propaganda posters in these schools. They have documented that the teachers in these schools teach hate. And what the problem with that is, if that was just Hamas running their schools, that would be a government running their schools how they want to run them. And I would say it's a bad thing, and that's it. That would be the end of this entire thing. We fund the UNRWA. Our tax dollars, we fund the UNRWA, and that's where I have a problem. See, these organizations, they don't make money unless they can, the old Sally Struthers, send us 50 cents for a dog commercials. In the arms of an angel. You remember those, right? They have to show you those images because that's what elicits donations. And these NGOs have done some very, very bad things in Gaza and have created problems. And we need to look at it, folks. We need to look at their contribution to this situation. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. One of the complaints was a headmaster at one of the UNRWA schools had a night job. The headmaster was the Islamic Jihad's head rocket maker. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. His family said he wasn't, but when the Israelis showed up at his house was full of Palestinian Islamic Jihad posters and material. And then Palestinian Islamic Jihad said, yeah, he's our martyr. He's our guy. He was the head of our engineering corps, and their engineering corps is their rocket builders. When he was buried, his coffin was draped with the Palestinian Islamic Jihad flag. And after he died, the UNRWA school put a poster up at the school saying that he was now a martyr for the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and in paradise. So yeah, don't get confused about the UN part of the UNRWA. I am for the UN. I have always been for. Anytime you can get diplomats in a room talking, I am for that. But the UNRWA, it's broken. They're out there trying to do good things. I'm not going to just trash them. I'm going to tell you, they're out there trying to do good things. But yeah, they go into places like Gaza, they open schools, they send you all of these images. I'm going to get into that a little bit more with another NGO here in a second, to elicit donations. And you know how it works, folks. They can't send you pictures of Gaza beaches, Gaza fishing fleets and fish markets, and all the things, the restaurants that are nicer than any of the damn restaurants I've got around here. They can't send you pictures of that because you won't donate. Hell, Gaza has more hospitals available than I do. And these people say, literally, unironically, that they don't have health care. Gaza literally has more hospitals than most rural Americans do. But they can't say that because these organizations live off donations. And the donations don't come if it's not sad. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. There's another one down here that's being investigated right now. I just wanted, before we get off the UNRWA, one of their teachers stands accused of holding one of the Israeli hostages in his attic. Was literally participating in holding one of the hostages in his attic. And to be fair, there are 183 schools. This is a teacher at a school. But yes, Hamas runs the curriculum in these schools. They do, period. So no, you're not getting well-adjusted little happy Palestinian children out of these schools. You're just not. And for people that are going to question that, you don't question that these hillbilly-ass Republican-run schools around here produce hillbilly-ass Republican MAGA kids. You don't question that one bit, but you will question that Hamas-run schools produce little Hamasites. I don't get it. I don't get it. They'll call me an Islamophobe next, which has nothing to do with being a Muslim. I'm sitting here criticizing Trump because he wants to have his Muslim banned again, but because I said that, I'll be an Islamophobe. You know, folks, you cannot help the people of Palestine if you do not accept the situation the way it is on the ground. And one of the problems that we have is an organization called Human Rights Watch. And you're like, Paul, you're really not going to go in, dig into human rights? Yes, I'm going to dig into Human Rights Watch. This is Tarana Hassan. She's the executive director of Human Rights Watch. And I want to tell you, all of these executives in all of these organizations make bank. The UNRWA executives, their median income is higher than a member of our Congress. That's before bonuses, before anything else. And no, I don't mean bonuses for Congress. I mean bonuses for these executives. They live well doing this. Okay? I mean, just to be clear about this, these are not poor people we are talking about. And they live in they have nice offices for themselves. They really do. This is the Audrey House. This is where Human Rights Watch is in London. It is a beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood. It's in the neighborhood of Ellie Place. You see, it's a gated off, nice community. You couldn't afford to buy a house there in 3 lifetimes, 4 lifetimes. That's where their offices are there. This is Sarah Yeager. She runs Human Rights Watch here in the U.S. And again, I'm not attacking these people personally. I get what they're selling. I get it. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to call out, you know, crimes against humanity. They're trying. You know, I'm not attacking these people personally. Okay, this is Sarah Yeager. Okay, she's the head of Human Rights Watch here in the United States. Sarah Yeager has some nice offices on K Street, and anybody familiar with politics knows K Street. On K Street, in a really swank neighborhood. It's upstairs. Nice, right? Nice. These people are making bank. They have really nice offices. And they get those really nice offices with those really sad Sally Struthers commercials. And let me give you an example of why I say, yes, limo libs. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, William L. Let me explain to you why I think we need to look into their culpability. I want to introduce you to a guy. And again, I'm not attacking this guy. I'm attacking what he says and what he does. I think it's just dishonest. This is Omar Shakir. He runs Human Rights Watch in Palestine, in the Middle East. He's in Amman, Jordan, because he was kicked out of Israel because of the stuff he said was just dishonest. It was just dishonest. It was that whole narrative. And I'll give you an example. You know, things like this. They show you this picture. This is the wall that Israel put up. And then there's a wall like it on the south that Egypt put up. They put it up because of terrorism. There was. They stopped travel between Gaza and the West Bank because they found explosives going from Gaza to the West Bank. There are tunnels in Gaza. Okay? I'm going to leave this up for a second. Bear with me. There are tunnels in Gaza where they smuggle in these explosives. They were shipping them from Gaza to the West Bank. So Israel said, no, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot ship through Israel, which was devastating to the Gaza economy. But they had a reason for doing it. But Omar Shakir doesn't talk about that. That's not what he does. He's here to send you this picture, not the beautiful picture of, a Palestinian five-star restaurant in Gaza. And yes, they've got some damn nice restaurants in Gaza. Well, they did before Hamas started a war. Many of them are damaged now. But this is a new article from him. Now, this picture is from 2017. That is a 2017 picture. But this is a brand new article published November 28th. And I just want to draw your eyes to what causes this problem. And I want to start with saying, why am I going after this guy? Because this guy coined the phrase open air prison in reference to Gaza. Now, I've never seen an open air prison that had hospitals, schools, beaches, travel. Yeah, there's travel. There was travel in and out of Gaza. They tried to portray that, oh, you can't travel. They're just trapped. They're in a prison. Bullshit. Those Americans that were held hostage that Joe Biden had to negotiate to get out of Palestine or out of Gaza, they traveled there and they were planning to travel home before the war broke out. We have a visa process for people traveling out of Gaza. They can travel, folks. What they can't do is they can't cross through Israel anymore, because Israel said no more bomb making crap going to the West Bank. We're not doing that anymore. Shut it down. But that's not what this guy said. No, he called it an open air prison. He said Egypt and Israel were conspiring together to hold the Palestinians in an open air prison. The Egyptians wouldn't allow the Palestinians into Egypt. Why? They're both Arab. History. Egypt was reacting to their history with the Palestinian people. Terrorism. Israel was doing the same thing. It wasn't coordinated together. They didn't get together. How can we screw them Palestinians over, Egypt? No. And I'll give you an idea how dishonest this is. Okay, let's go down to his article so I can get the screen share off. He talks about the war and it breaking out. And then he goes, the question is, how does Israel have so many Palestinians in detention to swap? And then he doesn't tell you anything about that. The only instance, the only example he gives is this right here. He doesn't, too much. Just this right here, this one paragraph. He doesn't talk about the fact that these people were arrested engaging in bombings. He doesn't talk about the fact that these people were arrested engaging in shootouts like we've seen in the West Bank. We've seen that just this last week. There were shootouts in the West Bank. He doesn't tell you these people were arrested throwing Molotov cocktails, for stabbing people, for throwing rocks at the police. Go to Camp Pendleton and throw rocks at Marines and see what happens to you. No, what he says, and I'll read you this paragraph, Palestinians can be jailed for participating in a gathering of merely 10 people without a permit on any issue. Quote, this is important, he puts this in quotes, that could be construed as political, unquote. Those quotes shouldn't be there. That's just the law. Just like it is here in the United States. You must have a permit to have an outdoor protest. That's the law in every city in this country has that same law. And he says that's what you can be arrested for. While settlers can demonstrate without a permit unless the gathering exceeds 50 people. Oh, what, regulation? Okay. Takes place outdoors. Yeah, just like in America. You want to hold a meeting in a restaurant? You can do that without a permit. You can do that in Gaza. You can do that in the West Bank. What you can't do is you can't hold a big frickin' outdoor protest in public without regulation. You have to have toilets available. You have to have security available. You have to have, all the things that are required to get a permit. You have to have ambulances available. That's the law, man. Here in the United States, that's the law. It's the law there. And then he puts it in quotes again. Takes place outdoors and involves, and then here comes the quotes again, political speeches and statements. Yeah, you got to get a permit to hold a political rally. You do. That's the law in Israel. And that is the only example he gives in this entire article for why these people are being held. If you read this article, you would come away believing that Israel holds people for meeting in groups of over 10 people, and all they do is just say it's political. They just say it's political. That's what the air quotes means. That's what the air quotes means. Is that they're lying and saying it's political just so they can arrest people. That's what the air quote, that's what the quotes mean. And it's a lie. And folks, these people get a lot of funding. I mean, a lot of funding. And it's ironic as hell that me, a liberal, do you know who their largest donor is? George Soros. I'm not even kidding. Tell me that isn't ironic. That here I am, a stark, raging liberal. I'm going to talk about George Soros and his funding of this to the tune of $100 million. The George Soros Foundation garnered investments together to fund Human Rights Watch over the last decade to the tune of $100 million. And I'll tell you, folks, they're not helping. They won a Nobel Peace Prize for ending the use of landmines. Yeah, I'm sorry, but landmines are all the frick over Ukraine. You didn't end shit. Landmines are all over the Korean border. You didn't end shit. You didn't. All you got is us lefties to promise not to use the same thing that the damn Russians and all of the people on the other side use against us. That's all you did, and they gave you a Nobel Peace Prize for it. Folks, we really do. This has been very eye-opening in many, many ways. The amount of anti-Semitism in this country and the damage these NGOs do. Because I swear to you that if you get into a conversation with any of the very passionate people, the very passionate pro-Palestinian people online, they will quote to you Human Rights Watch. And Human Rights Watch isn't a fair broker. They're just not. That's not how they sell themselves. If Human Rights Watch came to you and just told you the way things were, but they can't. The sales pitch has to be the same. You have to have a villain, a Darth Vader level dark villain on one hand, and a snowy, pure victim on the other. And this villain must be stomping all over this victim with no reality, no gray area, no reality seeping into it. In the arms of an angel. That's how they get donations, folks. It really is. And I'm not crapping on every NGO. I'm not even crapping on Human Rights Watch, other than they hire Omar Shakir, who I believe is not an honest broker. I don't. It's a sales pitch, folks. It is a sales pitch. And it's done a lot of harm, as you can tell. It has done a lot of harm. Because they sell it here in the West. And I want to tell you something, folks. The next time you see a wildly inflated number come out of Gaza, because now even news agencies are starting to admit they take their numbers from Hamas. I want you to think about it. 15,000, 17,000, 30,000 people, whoever, whatever number you want to put out there. It is nowhere near the 300,000 Arabs Assad killed in Syria. Nowhere near it. But you know what? They weren't destroying the Christmas tree lighting up in Rockefeller Center over that. It's not about the Palestinians. It's not. And it's not about genocide. Jesus Christ, you don't have a genocide, the population grow. You don't. That's hyperbole to get money out of your pocket. And it pisses on people. Do you know in the Democratic Republic of Congo, wild guess, does anybody in this audience know how many people have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo? How many Rwandans have they killed? And how many Tutsis? It's two different numbers. How many Tutsis were killed? Those were genocides, folks. 5.4 million people. And they ran out of bullets, so they just started hacking them to death with machetes. That's a genocide. And they piss on those people every time they call what's happening in Palestine a genocide. It's not. It's not. It's not even close. Folks, the Holocaust, the Jewish population in this world has not recovered from the levels they were prior to the genocide that happened in World War II. That's what a genocide looks like. They kill your breeding age people. That's what a genocide looks like. They have not recovered. The Jewish people have not recovered to the pre-genocide levels of World War II, folks, and it's been 70 plus years. That's what a genocide looks like. The Native Americans in this country, thank you. Thank you, Med USA. Thank you. That's exactly it. Folks, you may not be aware of this. The Native American, just north of where I live, had a city larger than London is today. They had a massive city. They were a huge culture. That's genocide. That is genocide. When you take a look at a people and all you see is people living in frickin' teepees, when they were a people that had cities and trade agreements and trade routes, and they were an entire civilization, that's a genocide. If you still have five-star frickin' restaurants and hospitals and schools and everything else, that's not a genocide. If your population is growing, that's not a genocide. It's not. And you're pissing on people who did actually suffer a genocide. So yeah, we need to, what I want to leave you with on that one before we go to our roundtable, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What I want to leave you with is we need to start asking questions about these NGOs and the UNRWA, and we need to start saying, okay, what is your contribution here? What is your culpability in this war? Because you have one. All right, that's it. Rant over. Hoot Johnson, great comment. Gas prices are low right now. They are. But I promise you, come election time, they will be $1.50 higher at least. They will. It happens every election, without fail. There will be a caravan coming to the southern border that Fox News happens to know where they're going to reach the southern border. Nobody knows who's paying for it, but we kind of know who's paying for it. All right. Yeah, y'all remember, you bet your ass if gas was $4.55 a gallon down here in Texas instead of, $2.40 a gallon, Biden would be catching hell for that. Biden would be, there'd be stickers all over the gas pumps that Biden did that. Well, you know what? Biden did that. If you're going to blame them for when they're high, you're going to give them credit for when they're low. I hate to run against, like I said, if you're going to go against the wind, you better be right. DKH, I'm going to disagree with you. I am in one thing. It's the energy traders. Exxon and them, they just produce oil. And realistically, you want a green future? Find out how to make Exxon and them money, because that's really what they care about, is making money. But it's the energy traders that manipulate. And they are some highly political people, folks. They really are. All right, what do we got here? All right, let's see what comments we got. We're in the roundtable part of our evening. I just want to hear what you have to say, and I want to talk about what you have to say. Laura says, just like no one knew when Jeannie paid for buses to send people to the Jan 6 rally, let's point to the ghost buses. Yeah, yeah. You're talking about the wife of Clarence Thomas, Jenny Thomas, paid for buses to ship people to the January 6th rally, which we knew wasn't a rally. We knew it was meant to be an insurrection. All the testimonies out there. Why the hell aren't they investigating Jenny Thomas and her role? I will say this. Jack Smith has brought on 2 top-notch public corruption prosecutors. So, yeah, they're not there to go after, Cuddy or any of those people. They're there to go after politicians. So I have hope that in the future we're going to see some indictments. Oh, by the way, have you seen that Preacher Johnson is complaining that George Santos got kicked out of the House? And George Santos is losing his mind, man. He is spilling all the tea. He's pulling a Madison Cawthorn, man. This guy was doing insider trading. That guy was using campaign funds for illegal usage. This guy was, he is really just, he's filed, I think, a half a dozen ethics complaints. All right. Let's see what we got. Who would tell, you know what? This is what's just crazy to me. B. Cynthia Rice, Santos can spill all the tea. Who the hell told him this stuff? For Christ's sake, if I was a member of Congress, the last human being I would talk to is George Santos or a member of his staff. How the hell did he find this stuff out? How blatantly corrupt are they behind closed doors? Good God. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. What else we have? Let's do this. Let's get some good comments and questions out there. If you disagreed with anything I say, hey man, we put a good point out there. But I stand behind everything I've said. Yes, yes. You can file complaints with the ethics committee. Yes, you can. Watchdog groups do it all the time. Now, they may not take just a lay person's complaint, but they may not. But I will bet you your complaint, there is a watchdog organization out there working on that complaint, and you can get behind it. KPKPS, Texas Paul, do you think Biden can last a second term? I do. I do. And this is why. He's not a cult leader. He's not. He's built a team around him. That's why they're so damn successful. Is everybody that got a job in the Biden administration got a job because they could do the job. You know, a president doesn't sit there on the daily and run the country. He doesn't. I'm sorry, folks. He's an administrator. He's a delegator. And the people around Joe Biden are excellent at their job. This is a team effort. Joe Biden could literally be sitting behind the Resolute desk, drooling on himself, and this government would still function way, way better than any Republican administration, because Republicans hate government. All they want to do is attack government. We could literally weaken in Bernie's, Joe Biden's entire second, and I'm not saying I wish that on the guy, I think that's going to happen. Don't put words in my mouth. But we could literally weaken in Bernie's the entire second Biden administration. And it would be one of the most successful presidencies this country has ever known, because Joe Biden got into office and Joe Biden said, this is what we're going to do. This is our agenda. This is the direction all our ships sail. And he put captains on those ships that could run the ships. Joe Biden doesn't have to step on anybody's neck. He doesn't have to appear before a camera every day like Mango Mussolini and did during his presidency, and just talk crap, because that's not what this government does. This government governs. I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the support, Rich Lawton. You're always there, my man. Thanks for opening the eyes. I work on it. That's what I do. That's what I try to do. Yeah, Sugar Beat, he is a figurehead. He is a figurehead. That's what a president should be. Should be a figurehead. He sets policy. He says, this is our policy. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to work towards. And if there's a problem, the buck stops with me, and I will make sure the right guy works on that problem. The right guy or gal works on that problem. That's what a president does. A good president, anyways, doesn't make it all about them. I missed that picture. Thank you, Lori. Did y'all see the interview that Midas Touch did? By the way, Jordy promised me he's going to pop into the show here in one of the next few shows. So keep tuned. Jordy's going to be here. I love the Midas Touch. I haven't done a lot of videos for them for a while, and I will give you an explanation why. You deserve an explanation for that. There is no daylight between me and Midas Touch. None whatsoever. I love those guys. They have an incredible work ethic. And kudos to Ben Meiselas for getting the interview with the President Biden. That was an amazing. Go back to Midas Touch, watch that interview. Go to their YouTube page, watch those interviews. That was amazing. I knew they were going to be, the minute I got involved with them, I knew this is where they were going to be. They're going to be the largest, fastest growing media outlet in the country, because of their work ethic and because they just tell you what's going on. They tell you what's going on. But no, I haven't put a video out for them in about a month. I haven't. I'm a contributor there still. I'm more than welcome there. The reason I didn't was because I saw after October 7th, I can spot propaganda a mile away on a foggy day. And I knew that I was going to have to do what I do, which is stand against the hurricane and break it. That the misinformation was going to be huge, the anti-Semitism was going to be huge. So I had to drop my advocacy of the Palestinian people, which I have, for decades advocated for the Palestinian people. But I could see the political operation that was happening. I could see the Russian bots go active. And I knew I was going to have to do it in the way I do it. I'm harsh. I am harsh. I say things that shock people. That's what I do because it gets your attention. There's a reason I do that. It's not because I enjoy shocking people. I do it because it's like a punch in the chest. It gets your attention. And I knew I was going to be much harsher than Midas Touch was going to be. I stand with Israel all the way, 100% unapologetically. I knew what my message was going to be. And I knew it was going to make me somewhat nuclear, somewhat irradiated for a few weeks. And I was right. I was right. I've been called everything in the book. It didn't matter that I advocated for the Palestinian people for decades. I apparently hate the Palestinian people, which is a damn lie. I think that you need to know what's really going on if you're going to help. So, have any of you in the audience ever dealt with any form of addiction or a family member with addiction or anything? That will crystallize and clarify for you that you cannot live in a fantasy land and deal with problems. You just can't. And there's no way to fix what's going on in the Middle East if you're not really calling it out the way it is. I've said it over and over again. I stand with Israel, but Benjamin Netanyahu is not the guy to be brokering a peace there. He is not. Now, you want to go tear ass and destroy Hamas? He's your guy. He's your guy. He is. But when it's time to make the peace, he's got to go. He's got to go. That's just reality. That is just reality. There will be no long-lasting peace with Benjamin Netanyahu in office. There will not. But Hamas has to go. And yes, a large portion of the Palestinian people support them. They do. And I get people that say this to me all the time, and it's just, thank you for making my point, but you don't even know you're making my point. They say, well, how would you like it, Texas Paul, if I said that all Texans are MAGA? Well, I'm not saying all Palestinians are Hamas. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying they enjoy support among the Palestinian people. Just like here in the state of Texas, there are freaking maggots. I call them maggots. I don't call them MAGA. I put a T on the end. Maggots all over this damn state. Same thing. You're making my point. You can't realistically, as a Democrat, look at winning Texas by trying to pretend that, well, you can't call the Texas people maggots. You can't. You can't say that they're MAGA. The hell I can't. They are. They are. They're shitty people. There's a lot of shitty people here in Texas. And if you don't deal with that reality, you don't deal with those people that, because how you talk to somebody that believes something like MAGA is very different than how you talk to somebody that believes in just science. You have to know. The way you talk to a Palestinian that supports Hamas is going to be very different than the way you talk to a Palestinian that doesn't. Reality, man. If you really want to help the Palestinians, grab you some reality. And maybe, just maybe, this time, because I'll be honest with you, it's different. It's different this time. You're getting the old hippies trying to do the same old shit. They had a guy set himself on fire the other day, self-immolate, and nobody cared. Nobody. I remember the first time I saw that as a young man, a Buddhist monk set himself on fire, and brother, that hit me in the heart like nothing you'd ever seen. I was like, my God. But it's been done. It's been done. This guy set himself on fire and nobody cares. And the people he set himself on fire for, there's a large portion of that society that would have set him on fire themselves. So it had no impact at all. And the pro-Palestinian people are like, y'all are heartless. How can you be heartless? It's like, we're not heartless. It's just we've seen it. And we know there's a large chunk of the people in Gaza that would have lit that match for him. Yeah, that's harsh. And it's not saying all Palestinians, because that's what you're going to hear. That's the one they hide behind. All Palestinians. You can't say all Palestinians. I never said all Palestinians. I just said the ones that would have lit the match. So yeah, saying that, oh, then in following my logic, all people in Texas must be MAGA. No, you're just not listening. You're just not listening. I'm saying there's a shit ton of maggots here in Texas. That's my point. Sorry if I offended you with any of that. Well, not really, but you know, I like you, so I say that. It is the same stupid talk you hear all the time, all the freaking time, all the freaking time. And that's why, you know, something else that doesn't work with stolen land doesn't work on me. It just doesn't work on me. We stole Texas from Mexico and we ain't giving it back. Yeah, and I even know that we stole it to maintain slavery. Yeah, I know all that. We still ain't giving it back. We're just not. It's ours now. We're better people now. Well, at least half of us are better people. There are people in this state, in my home state, that would engage in slavery today. But yeah, we're not giving Texas back. And we stole the shit out of this state. We did. Juan Seguin, one of the heroes of the Texas Revolution. There's a town named after him. Juan Seguin. They stole that sumbitch's land. They kicked him off that. They deported his ass to Mexico and stole his land, and he was a hero of the Texas Revolution. He led the Mexicans that fought for Texas. So yeah, I mean, I know it all, brother. I know it all. I know shit. That's what I do. I'm old and I know shit. But we ain't giving Texas back. So yeah, when you hear about stolen land, I mean, there's no way forward on a stolen land argument. There just isn't. Even the first people. You people have not been to an Indian reservation. I know most of you haven't. The reason I know most of you haven't is because you don't know that just how much of a 911 frickin' emergency it is. The amount of corruption that is on those reservations, the horrible life that many people on reservations live. This is a crisis right here at home. It is a crisis right here at home. Go to an Indian, and I don't mean a casino. I don't mean a casino. Go to an Indian reservation and see how, folks, I went to Monument Valley up in Utah, and the homes, there's home after home after home. It has no siding on it. It's just plywood walls, because if they put the siding on it, the house is considered finished and their taxes skyrocket. It's amazing just the feel. You don't feel like you're in America anymore, and technically you're not because you're on the reservation. But you know, you don't feel like you're an American in America anymore. We need to do better by these people, and the government housing that we built. No, yeah. I mean, trust me, folks. We need to do better by the first people here, but we ain't giving the land back. We're just not. We broke every damn treaty and straight up stole that shit, and we did. And that's what happens. That's what happens in wars. You know, that's what happens, and we're not giving it back. It's America now. Come be American. But yeah, we need to quit screwing the Indians. Stolen, but don't come at my whole point of this is don't come at me with stolen land, because I'm going to go because I've read a history book. All right, man. We still got a little bit of time left. Screw it. Let's go 2 hours today. Anybody want to go 2 hours today? We got time. I've got nobody. I'm not bumping up against Tony. I'm not bumping up against Hal. By the way, you guys need to follow those guys. Those are great guys. Tony Michaels and Hal Sparks are freaking awesome. They are freaking awesome. But yeah, I'm not bumping up against them today, so we can talk as long as we want to talk. Anything you want to talk about, throw it out there. I will continue to talk about things all damn day if you want. Somebody put a comment out there about John Wayne. John Wayne was not a nice guy. He was not a good guy. He was not. He just wasn't. Talk about Tuberville. Okay. Tuberville blinked. Republicans had a meeting, and enough of them said, we're going to vote with Democrats. You cannot do what you're doing to our military. You cannot hold up promotions. You cannot do it. We're going to vote with the Democrats to change the rules, period. The vote is going to happen next Monday, and we're going to vote. This is going to happen, and it's going to happen because of Tommy Tuberville. And Tommy Tuberville blinked. He's going to stop his he said, now a Republican's word isn't worth shit. He said he was going to stop his objections. Al's room, thank you for the support. Thank you, Paul. I take the hour with you. I'm glad to talk to you folks. You people just really feed my soul. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, Tommy Tuberville said he's no longer going to object to the promotions within the military. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that people were linking him to the 2025 project, and he was pulling a Glitch McConnell, pardon me, Moscow Mitch, hold up the position so that they could fire everybody and not give them the promotions and promote their white supremacist, fealty to Trump people up in the military. Too far before the election, and the truth was coming out, and he panicked. Now he says he's only going to object to woke people. And that means he's going to try to hold up anybody that's gay. He's going to try to hold up anybody that, you know what it means. I don't need to explain it to you. What about Newsom? Newsom, there's an expression here down south. I don't know if y'all have it up north. I couldn't tell you if you did. It's called kicking your ass up one side of the street and back down the other, and that's exactly what Gavin Newsom did to Ron DeSantis. He did. I didn't cover that because so many people had covered the hell out of it. You've all seen the clips, but yeah, Gavin Newsom, and I didn't cover it because it's not really consequential. Because Gavin Newsom ending it with one thing that I can say is true is that neither one of us are going to be our party's nominee in 2024. Just summed it up perfectly. I mean, just summed it up perfectly. Ron DeSantis ended himself. This was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. He had Sean Hannity on his side. It was Sean Hannity and Ron DeSantis against Gavin Newsom. And Gavin Newsom humiliated all of them. He ended up that he destroyed that Republican talking point. That's why they should never, ever do debates. Republicans should never do debates because they can sit there and say things like, everybody's leaving that California. No, poor people are leaving California because of the cost of living, but it's not nearly as many Floridians that are moving to. I mean, there's twice as many Floridians moving to California than there are Californians moving to Florida, I guarantee you. And Newsom just destroyed that entire talking point. They could have said that right up to the election. That whole narrative. Everybody's tired of them liberals in California until you challenged Newsom to a debate. And then Newsom pulled the frickin' figures out and said, no, more people are moving from Florida to California than the other way around. That's just facts. Then the fact checkers said, yeah, he's right. And boom, there goes your narrative. And the poop map. Oh yeah. I mean, I just love it. I absolutely love that. I'm sorry, I've lost your comment. There it is. Mary P. and the poop map. Like what the actual, yeah, I know. Actually, if you didn't watch it, Ron DeSantis thought it would be a good idea to pull up a map of what he said was San Francisco and all the instances reported of poop being cleaned up, human feces. Yeah, they don't track that. They don't track. A long, long time ago, I used to work for a county. We cleaned up stuff you would not believe, and nobody made a list of it. Nobody made a list of it. I assure you, there's not somebody walking around San Francisco saying, oh, poop, that looks human. Let me write that down. Let me write that down. No. So he pulls this map up, and the map ends up looking like a giant turd. Oh my God, it was just humiliating for Ron DeSantis. He ended himself. He did. He ended himself. There's just nothing for Ron DeSantis now. I mean, he's term limited out of the governorship. What's he going to do? Run for senator? No. He looks like an idiot. And oh my God, the boots. That guy has a lift that high inside his boots. I guarantee you he does. His toes don't reach halfway down his boot. When he walks, the boot literally folds in half because there's no toes there. There are no feet there halfway down the boot because he's got a wedge inside his boot and he's walking on on the balls of his feet, trying to gain another 3 inches, which is the stupidest thing in the world. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Politicians have worried about this forever because so many politicians are really tall. They think that that's a lock. It's not. It is not. Greg Abbott, if he could get out of his chair, is taller than me. But I assure you, I would destroy him if I ran against him. I would. With just facts. Been 25 years of Republican rule in the state. The roads are shit. The schools are shit. The power grid's shit. Society is more violent than ever. School shootings, yada, 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 yada. And he would try to say, well, them immigrants. And I would say, yeah, we've got an aging population. We need the workforce. I could actually be a border governor and do my job. You know, that's the real shame about this, folks, is this whole Republican policy ignores our needs. It ignores our needs. We are an aging population. We do not have the youthful workforce to maintain our economy going into the future. We don't. Talk to a real economist. They'll tell you. What we could be doing here in the state of Texas is bringing people in, vetting them, working with governors in states like Michigan who needs the workforce, and working with them to get them good people settled for pennies on the dollar for what we're paying to imprison people and deport them. It would be cheaper. We would get a workforce out of it, but you wouldn't be able to sell the hate to the hillbillies here in Texas. So, that's what's important, right? All right. All right. What do we got? What do we got? Sorry for being silent. Sorry about the uncomfortable silence. I'm looking for some good comments. I'm going through and reading your comments. Okay, Dark Sage, it looks like it's going to be a mild winter here in Texas. The weather looks like it's going to quit beating us up this year. Of course, I can't tell you with all certainty that's going to be the case, but that's what it looks like. There you go, Ken QB. Governor Pritzker is trying to get work permits fast track for the migrants that were bused to Chicago. Yeah. Folks, let me tell you, we Democrats have a bill waiting. Instead of pissing away, Governor Greg Abbott every day posts on Twitter a picture of them building that ridiculous ass stupid wall. What we need to be building is what we Democrats want to build, which is technology. We need to bring our vetting processes up to date. We need to be building more technologically advanced consulates so that we can handle much of this vetting in their home countries before they have to come across the border. Right now, immigrating into the United States is a nightmarish process. It is a nightmarish process. If you're not a white guy from Ireland, man, it's going to take you forever to get in this country. It really is. It's going to take forever. We could fix that system. We Democrats, we have actual technology, satellite technology, seismic sensors that make sense. Decriminalizing of drugs. That's a good start right there if you want to fix your immigration policy. Decriminalize drugs. That weeds out the mules, and all you have is people coming over that want to be here. I appreciate you, Karen Collins. I really do. Maybe when Abbott comes up for election, I will. I don't know. Thinking about it. I don't know. Somebody posted that we Irish haven't always been, yeah, brother, I know. So, I hate when people say generalities. I don't mean, I'm not flaming you, Linda M. You make great comments or whatever, but Chicago is no different than any other major city. There are suburbs, there are satellite cities, there are places to live. You may not be able to live in Chicago proper. Hell, I can't live in Chicago proper. I don't have $1 million to drop on a little postage stamp sized house, apartment, row house. But that's all major cities, man. All right. Well, folks, we're running out of time. We are. We got about 10 minutes left max. And I don't think we have that long. I'm dancing in my chair for reasons y'all can guess why. Yes, thank you. Thomas H. Sears. That is just a figment of everybody's imagination. The drug mule. It's just the rarest way to get drugs. And think about that. You're a businessman. You're shipping a product. Do you want to just like stick it in some guy's backpack and hope he gets across? No. They have professional smugglers. They stick it inside the walls of trucks. They stick it inside, trunks of cars, and they just hope that it gets through. It's a numbers game. They're not sticking it on the back of people to walk through the damn desert. They're not. That's a fiction Republicans invent, push. All right, folks. Well, look, folks, we're going to have to call an end to it. I've got to run to the little boy's room and take care of some business. It was nice talking to you. Got to shake the dew off the lilies. Enjoy this nice closure. It was wonderful talking to you. Sundays are always fun because we're not in a hurry. Shoot me an email. Any questions that you have, visit the Texas Paul store. The holiday cups are out. I got a special cup coming in a few days also. So love to talk to you folks. It was Fun as always. This is Old Texas Paul out. Y'all have a wonderful day.